Just kidding. Yeah, it's a trip. It's that time of day for you right now.
Yeah.
9:30
9:30. The sun is slowly setting.
versus the light of 11:30
Huh?
in the day, in that early afternoon or late morning. 11:30, not quite noon, almost noon time. But I was just pointing out, it looks like has like sunrise light. I don't know how to explain it, but the light in the morning and the light in the evening from the sun is completely different.
Yeah, yeah.
It's different light. And I can like see it. Like I could see in your background that it's not quite equivalent to the evening light of our evenings here in California.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, and it brings like all these like questions of like, in this time Bocksaga describes of an upright axis, you know, and the sun doesn't go above the sky, it goes around in this ringland. That, like, what kind of light was it? And I think about that a lot, like, and I imagine it as this very like on the land being very emig, like which is a e word meaning like misty or steamy, and then you have like this combination of both this morning light and this evening light at the same time.
Yeah.
So all kinds of like I don't know, beautiful night sky, or beautiful like dusk and dawn sky, where it's like it's almost midnight when you look into the sky over here, and then it's like you can stare straight at the sun at it over here, just like you can look at the sun when it's rising just in the first parts of the morning without it being dangerous for the eyes. And the same thing at sunset is like a profound experience every time someone watches the sunset. You know, it's like a very spiritual experience for anybody, right? But then it being perpetually like that at all times, there's something going on with that scenario, right? That's pretty.
It's also interesting now when we have summer low suns, like it goes slowly down.
Yeah.
Like the sky, when there's clouds, the sun shines up on the clouds and you have this golden red, yellow sky in the direction of the sun. So if you have the sun spinning around, you are having magnificent color in your clouds. The same time when you have this mist and everything is nice and cool.
Do you think there was the auroras in the skies happening in paradise, or do you think that's a phenomenon of the shift, a polar shift?
I would guess yes.
Yeah, I would think so too. I would agree.
Why not?
Yeah. Yeah. Why not? Because it's a result of something that's coming from the sun itself.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenon coming from the sun itself. Even you know, it's still described as like basically like spinning electrons that are snapping back from a solar burst or something like that, and doing a dance in the sky, and that's also like supposedly what all these ancient cave paintings that look like a person with like two rings next to their body are supposed to be actually just phenomenon happening in the sky that they're just writing, and it happens to look like a person, like a stick figure person, but only from this perspective from down on Earth. Anyway, you heard that theory? That
I don't actually like that at least.
That okay, like this is like what is something that was witnessed by ancient peoples, that there was a particularly severe solar outburst, that a particularly bad one that caused lots of fire and electrical storms, which would set at a global scale lightning storms and auroras happening in the entire planet all at once, because this one was a particularly strong solar flare, and all of the fires that have started up from the lightning storm, and obviously a lot of flooding would happen as a result of that, and a lot of freezing, and so a lot of temperature change and kind of cataclysmic effects, and something like that. And then that's kind of what ended some of our more recent ages. And it wasn't particularly a Ragnarok bad, but people would go underground into these cave systems as a result, because this solar flare would have had its like aftershock solar flare. So this would continue for maybe a couple hundred years even, with these like aftershocks. And so it would drive humanity underground. And so these are the types of things that could be happening in a cyclic manner while the Ossur were living their lives in ice time and knowing nothing but that. Down in the tropical kingdoms, all kinds of crazy like things could be happening like this on a regular basis. And so so now we see what like even like people in this researching community pontificating that even entire mountains around the world were actually constructed.
Yeah.
You know, or at least if they weren't constructed, they were excavated and gone into and lived underneath of or inside of, and living inside these mountains. And you know, the idea of dwarves, you know, like in Lord of the Rings, like dwarves are these guys that are just these stone workers that can come, that live inside the mountain. And then you have people who live in the trees or things like that. And you get all these different myths and mythologies, or the ant peoples of in the Americas. Anyway, it's super interesting. Just imagining what can be happening anyway, that's what I have to say about your evening light.
But we don't know much about what the climate was during the Atlantis time.
Yeah, and that's an important distinction to make when we're talking about the saga, because the Bock Saga is a family story of this family.
Yeah.
It's not giving the story of all of the families. They're just saying that at one point, this family claims responsibility for all of the families, but after the first Ragnarok, all bets are off. All kinds of things could have been happening, and I think that would easily explain all these different kinds of offshoots of different types of humans, or different, whatever we want to call them, Neanderthals even, or they find all kinds of different shaped peoples and things like that. But when you completely lose touch of this breeding system, then all kinds of weird things can happen. And the reason we don't have a story for them is obviously it wasn't sustainable. Whatever they were doing wasn't working and wasn't going to work, and so they're not around anymore to tell their story. But the ones that are still around to tell their stories, we got our 10 tropical kingdoms, who still maintain some kind of system for making more people generation to generation, and found a way to live together as well. So I would expect that they were not at war with each other, because I don't find the war as we know it today as a sustainable feature of humanity. That it is completely unsustainable, as we see, that's, like, we're not going, there's no way humans live for millions and millions of years with nuclear bombs. That's just not, there's no way.
But they live with words. But they didn't start to use the words for killing for maybe 5 to 7,000 years, 8,000, 9,000.
Yeah, and even if there were changes that happen with words, the people who made those words in these different languages was also unsustainable, and so they don't exist anymore. So like over time, things that just don't work out in nature, they don't work out in nature.
Yeah.
Like you can't argue with that, right? So it's just like all the animals that are were to be perfected to live within nature. We got dogs, we got horses, we got snakes or whatever. There's a place for them in nature, right? But the organisms that don't have a place in nature, all the Unan things that don't have a place, they don't exist anymore, and there's a reason for that. And there's something to be said about the human hand in whether things are going to be existing or not is the big factor that we're talking about in the first place, right? Yeah. Do they have a system? Do they have a system to create a language that tells a story that gives you the ingredients to survive and live with nature, right? And then that's what the whole sound system is about. That's what breeding system and agriculture at this point day and age is all about, is to sustain life, right? And same thing with the astrology. That's the whole point of astrology, is to understand yourself. Okay, what are your needs? How do you make you become someone who provides this value as a microcosm of the macrocosm of humanity itself, right? And a key aspect of that is actually making more people.
Yeah.
Right. And if we're not actively discussing it, right? In the last few weeks, even in our current, they're saying the global population is way below birth rate. Their birth rates are down across the planet right now. Yes. Right now, it's a big issue, right? And it's often the way society goes is it's not an issue that we're going to figure out until the problem is already blown up in our faces, and we got to figure out how to make it happen. So, rather than treating your health issues by having good health, so you don't have these health issues. So why not have a society that is already flowing in a way that it's already figured out to not have these issues, right? Yeah. Good way to do it is not even have words for issues. But anyway, rant over. And ultimately, we're talking about E.
Yes, back to business. Yeah, I will turn up candle because that sun came down.
Yeah, make an E.
Turn up our E so that we can fire up the N on it.
Yeah, that's literally an E, an I, with the dot above it in the camera.
That's the candle symbolism.
Yeah, and I think so it's been a while since we recorded this next one. I think last time we did where we left off was IK.
IK, right? Yeah.
So we finished IK, and the next one would be L.
Yes.
L.
Il.
Il. Yeah. So
Eli.
Inside log. E-log. Yeah. Log E. Logi. Logi.
Yeah. Hey, Finnish is lucky.
Yeah, it's understood. Ooh, nice. And log E, logic, but this is backwards. So we may be finding out that IL, EL is backwards logic.
Yeah, it's either in logic or then it's logic in.
Yeah. Yeah. Or it's, yeah, but it's understood. It's understood backwards, right? When we're looking at root words or things like that, often the meaning the emphasis is in the beginning and the end of the word, and then it's understood backwards, right? Which we're going to talk about that, like say with illustrator, right? But ill, you got ila, right? Ila,
yeah,
ila, right?
ila.
Il, la, and which means badly for some reason.
Illa.
Right?
There's ila and illa.
Right.
Like ila is when you hurry, like fast, go away. But it can also be like when you have toothache, like it's eels, like it's ila.
Yes, and so there's a story in the Bock Saga about the eel. Right.
Eel.
And it's also a symbolic. So how do you prove an animal came from another animal, right? Okay. But if you think about it, we all begin as these little eels. And the fastest one, or somehow only one of them, gets used in the egg, in the egg of the woman. One of these little eels makes it, and he would have to be moving rapidly, the most rapidly. Isn't it? He have like against 400 million other competitors in this race.
Oh, he can also be tricky and go and get, because it depends which egg wants to take.
Right.
You can come fast, but the egg doesn't maybe want the fastest one.
The woman always chooses.
Yeah.
Sometimes
women want the rabbit, and sometimes.
So you'd have to be you don't want to be lucky. You don't want to be unlucky.
Yeah.
You want to be the the eel that's lucky. Ila. All backwards would be Ali. Ali.
Yeah.
Right?
Ali is in Finnish underneath, like under.
Interesting.
Ali. Yeah.
But I'm looking at the root word. Right? Ali, under.
But Ali is also all in.
Right. But also.
Yeah.
Also, you can kind of play. So we're playing with this idea before we started recording earlier, with the idea of like the vowels being imagined in a 3x3 square.
Yeah.
I was kind of just thinking maybe there's something to this, because as I'm trying to like learn to say the sounds on my own, a, e, u, e. Did I get it? Did I get why?
Good. Almost.
Yeah, I did. Okay.
A little bit sharpness on the e.
Okay, and then you have, and so you're imagining. I think this is left on your screen, right? This would be left to right. We would read. So you got a, e, I, and then you have o, u, y, and then you have the sounds for the a with the ring above it, the a with the two dots above it, and then with the o with the two dots above it. And so you imagine these in a pattern like a Sudoku puzzle, right? And in Sudoku, you have like you form this anyway. Whatever, everyone knows what Sudoku is, right? But you go down the column now, and now you have, and it sounds to me like there is a relation in the sounds split apart. So now we're talking about the a, the o, the u, and the a with the ring above it, o, right? And it's like e, u, o. These sound related, right? And so,
U, O. Is it U, O?
yeah, and the position in the mouth that these sounds are made also, right?
Yeah.
There's a relation, and so when we're talking about il, but so backwards ila, which means like badly, or like if you say inte ila, it would be like not bad,
Yeah.
right? Oh, not bad. Yeah. So you're talking about the opposite of ila. So, and you know, in English you got ill, like you're sick, right?
Yeah.
It kind of has like this negative connotation, but so what I'm thinking is that these two L's together, or the sound with two L's, is kind of like the inverse of logic, in logic. And so that might be bad, or you know, we get illegal or illogical or something like that. But in a body perspective, oh, go ahead. No.
The la word itself, you can say laid. So ill-laid is like something that's then badly laid down. But how we can come to the connection that how do you feel ill if you have illa? So you have.
Well, then you were. No one's up and at them when they're feeling sick. They're laying down.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Illa.
But also, but I think most of this word is coming into this the most root old sounding il word is this illustration, illustrator, and also illusion.
Yeah, there's a lot of meaning in that also.
And so these words really have this combination weave of these smaller parts that make a lot of sense to me as well, and especially because we have il, lus, tra, shun, illustrator, and il, lus is light, backwards is soul, ra, tour, or tra, like could be like to try or to tract or attract, which is like a polling.
Yeah.
And same thing with ra, like and then tour,
yeah.
like the heart or the root.
But it also sound straw, like sounds like a straw.
Right.
Like as a word inside of the word, additional.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is like the stroller.
Yeah, the stroller is like also connected to the straw word.
Right.
So,
like which is the stroller is like the light coming from the sun directly. Direct light is the stroller that the grass, the straw of the earth absorbs, right? And backwards is art.
Yeah.
Straw backwards is, or tra is art, and arts, the arts, with an S would be S, just applying the meaning of belonging to this thing that the S is ending. So backwards illustrator would be root, art, or belonging to the art, and then also sul, which is the sun, the sulin, and it'd be sul li. So li, which would be like a little sun. So this is specifically referring to the smaller aspects of the sun, and in this case, it would be the the sperm, which is the aspect of the sun.
Yeah, but also here, because we have the straw, the straw becomes a feminine thing of drinking the sun's nectar, the mahla. With the straw, you drink the mahla, so here can also be the...
And that's going forward, so that's going in the direction that it's spelled.
Yeah.
Which is super interesting, because backwards it gives you the man's aspect of the same word.
Yeah. And then also in language, we say sunny, something is sunny, we say solig, but I can also pronounce it only as soli. If you're sunny, you're soli. But this is then maybe not the meaning directly in this word, but it's the church of the meaning.
Yeah, and yeah, I think so the il,
yeah,
lose,
because we have the illa and then we have the illus, or the ill, because the ill we have like bright red is ill red. You have the ill, you have the light, you have the art part of ill, and then you have the ill which turns everything to negative. Kind of.
Yeah, and but think about it. That would be in the word in like illustrator, log, in logic, or, and it can be reversed in this case, the entire word. And this is kind of one of the few words that there are that's like a really genuine il word. Because even in illa is kind of a sound change a little bit there.
Illa.
Yeah, it's like more of a like in bit, like it's a short.
Yeah.
Whereas in Illustrator, is it the same? Is it a sound change, do you think? Or can you, if you say it like casually or normally? Is it more of an E? Or is it more I?
It's illust, like it's a short L, like two short L, very close to each other. Because like if you're ill and illus, there comes the break in illustrator. When you have ill, you pronounce it everything together. But then, for example, when we have illa, which is ill or badly, then we have ilska, which is anger, and then it comes short again. And ilska is again a negative word in a sense.
Yeah, or like I see well, we got illegal, illegal, which is interesting because we got Gaul, like Gaelic or Goth, you know, Gothic, Gallic, and then lay, which is smile, and ill, which is inward logic. Like and it's kind of like that propaganda word. You know, you got illegal. You know, so it's like it's interesting because it's like a smiling Gaelic, Gaul. You know, and it's just like these old pagan references are getting inverted.
Yeah. Because also like legal is again law, lag, il.
Yeah.
There's the law in the legal, and then it's ill.
True. Lag, L. Wow. Yeah, it's almost like a palindrome in that way.
Yeah.
But
because legally, when you read,
I see this other one, outrage. Ildod. 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 Outrage.
Ildod.
Yeah. D-R-O. Ildod.
Ildod.
Yes. I am practicing, so
yeah, I know it's not easy.
yeah, I mean, yeah.
Because like it's the whole practice of how to use the tongue and how to place the tongue, and that's like children get education, especially for that if they have challenges with it. So.
Really? So they actually say the placement. Yeah.
Like the letter R, the sound R, that's difficult. And then for some, the S sound is difficult. And then I think the D sound is also one which is difficult. And but yeah.
Yeah, see, I don't even know how to put say like the and come up. When I put outrage in on the translator, it doesn't show the same translation in, oh, here it is. Atrocity. Ildad. Oh, a bad deed.
Bad deed. Yeah.
Yeah. So Ildad would be like a bad deed. See, I need to stop looking at screens and pages. Just hear it in my brain. Yeah. Like a bad deed. So again, ill. And so in English, the best translation is actually like sick or ill. Like ill-gotten, ill-begotten. I mean, there's there's shitloads of English illiterate, ill-tempered, illness, ill-natured, ill-mannered, yeah, illegitimate, ineligible, illegible, illegible stuff. My reading skills are
illegal.
Illegible means like you can't read it. Like your writing is poor. That's my reading. Yeah. I already did ignore it. Anyway, so ill just means
pick up my English book.
And I lost my place over here too, so that's great. There we go.
I want to just for the fun of it.
Yeah, illvilia, spite.
Ill.
Illvilla, Ivilia.
Do you know what happens when I open this book? Where it opens from? What's the first word I see? Hell.
Hell yeah.
And next, when I open next page, light.
Perfect. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the illus. Strator. Yeah, I love that. How tour, your a friend, your heart friend becomes like a profession of something you learn to do. But in English, it'd be like a lot of our professions, or the person who is doing the thing is a tour. So like illustrator is the person who does the illustrations, and you know who, and to is the yeah, and then what is this illustrator doing? He's the one who is to illustrate, you know. He illustrates, or is illustrating. So illustrating would be like the thing that is being done. And everything is a thing.
Brought to light.
Right. And then and in root it's illustrate ra. Illustrate ra. Stray. Ra. Yeah. Do you have any stray ra?
Stray ra?
Yeah.
There's an Illuminati that illustrating three things.
So in the idea that IL means inside logic, and then backwards it means li, which is little. So maybe it makes only a little logic.
Yeah, it's liten. Little is liten, which is li and ten.
Yeah, I remember it as Eeyore says it like in clitoris or clitoris. You know, the clitor is also is clean, but also the li means like little tour.
Mm-hmm.
So li is also, when you find li, it also does mean little, even in its smallest part, li.
Yeah, probably in some cases, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And,
so what we do with this little word then?
Well, just in the way that little also means not a lot, right? So to be ill is you're not feeling very good.
Yeah.
You know, it's bad.
Dålig.
Well, again, badly.
Badly.
Is ila. So badly. And we're just saying li means little.
Yeah.
So
it's also dålig.
Yeah, it's not terrible. It's not completely inverted. It's not a complete opposite. It's just it's a little, and it's a little like kind of illogical.
Yeah.
It's not completely logical, but it's a little,
yeah.
You know, something like that. And it kind of gives this kind of aspect to and to this idea of being except I don't know how much sense everything I just said was in illustration, an illustrator, because this is I think a lot of the meaning of this word is coming from the back end of the word. Yeah,
there's a little bit of everything in the illustrator,
because you have illusion, an illusion, which is kind of a fake. It's kind of fake. Illusion and illusion. Illusion. This is the seven, the shun. This is the SION, whereas illustration is a TION. So we have one that's more of the man side, and then illusion is more of on the inside, right? And illustration is you paint the picture outwards. You put it on the end of a pen, or a paint brush, right? And you draw the picture, right? And so you can see it. It's a direct transfer of energy of the raw. So like to illustrate, illustrera, right? You got lust in there also, which is a lustful lust. And then you also have lose, which is the light. So lust, light, lust, these are connected meanings. And then at the end, a TION is the tin tio reference. So this is more of the brothers side, starting with the second brother, which is the secretary, right? The secretera.
Secretera.
Secreterare. Secreterare. Illustrare.
Illustrerare.
Something like that. So these are connecting sounds, but it's coming from the end, right? So of the word, that's kind of like saying who or what the word is referring to. So tell the word of the story of this particular way of these particular sound combinations. Again, we have illustration, illustrator, and illustrate. Okay, so and then going into the root of each of these, one's shun, tor, and ra. Okay, so illustrate shun, illustrate tor, and illustrate ra. Okay, so shun is the 10 brothers, tor is your best friend, and ra is you. Or singular, or the
yeah, depends on your stage, yeah. Like,
and then with illusion, shun, this is an illusion is something you don't see.
yeah,
You're not putting out there. It's in your head. This is the inside. So this has to do with the female, because the female is the inside feeling, the male is the outward feeling.
Yeah. But illustrera is the process, is the verb. So the ra is the running power of the illustration there.
The raise.
Yeah.
The raise, the transfer of energy. Yeah. Right? That's so when you have the strålar, or the straw, which is also in this word, the straw is the direct sunlight. The ra is is representing the transfer of that energy, like a light wire or something. You know, it's the transfer of energy.
Yeah, but that's the invisible energy, because when you have the loose is the visible energy and the ra is the invisible energy, and in illustration everything comes together.
You wouldn't have an illustration without an illusion.
Yeah.
Which is interesting also, because I mean, well, you have your imagination, which I guess we'll be getting into in the next sound.
Next sound, yeah, is imagination. Yeah.
Yeah, because we're going IL now to IM. Yeah. But in the image in our mind is the illusion. Yeah. Illusion also has kind of a deception, a mystery connotate, feeling to it, huh?
We have been taught to understand so.
Yeah, yeah.
But then again, if we go into this system of this vårtid, like our time, the good springtime system, then maybe you are doing an illusion to wake up some feelings.
Yeah, even here in this book, it's like illusion, which is the same exact word in English as in Swedish, but it also right next to it puts delusion.
Illusion.
So a delusion is also an illusion, but in my brain, I see them as different words. Because a delusion is definitely with as you say, a modern connotation, is like someone who's delusional is just, they don't make any sense. They're not making sense. The information that is going in is like it's not making logic. In fact, one might say it's illogical. So
illusion.
So, yeah. So I think this IL is an appropriate way of denoting a delusion. Because if you take away the ill or the D from lose and you just leave it lose, right? This is light. This is clarity. This is backwards is soul, like soul light. This is a very pure sound. So to put IL right in front of it is flipping the logic. It's inside logic. Whereas outside logic would be like your daytime logic. And your nighttime logic is a little bit different, right? Our nighttime logic, we're asleep, we're dreaming, we have the illusion in our minds all night, when the moon is up.
A lot of thinking.
Yeah.
A lot of thoughts.
Yeah.
I was in the ill in general, like we can say that something is bad. We say dålig, and how I can pronounce it is just dålig. Then you have the li, which is li. So it's something that it's like something. It's lig, but it can also be li. So li can be like, and when something is like, it's not complete, full. So it's only a little bit part of it.
Little bit. There it is.
Yeah.
Little.
And then dålig. Do is the past tense, like then. So dålig is something that used to be kind of in this wordplay thing.
Yeah. Well, when we have a dolly.
Yeah.
A dolly is like it's a thing you use to carry a bunch of boxes. So it has like 2 wheels and like the little thing.
Uh-huh.
And you put it under, you could pick up a refrigerator or something like that on a dolly.
Yeah.
And take it out.
But now we are almost talking donkey. Dolly. Donkey.
Okay, and there are a couple other IL words that really kind of imply this. We got spite, spiteful, a forced march, anger, rage, ilska, angry, mad, ilsken, ilsken. What is that? Ilsken? Is it ilska or ilsha?
Ilska.
Ilska.
Ska is shall. Shall. Like
you shall?
Yeah.
Shall do something?
Jaska, I shall.
That means angry and
Yeah.
rage.
Yeah.
So I shall do ill. This is more emphasis on how ill is.
This is a good point. This is a good point because it's ilska. I should.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's also interesting when you read from the backwards, it becomes ask. Ox. No, it becomes ox. Oxy. That doesn't make sense now. I read aska, but.
What's your opinion on this idea? Because when we're looking at the clock, right, or the alphabet wheel, or the ring, alphabet ring, of making these triangles and connecting words and these sounds through triangles or lines, and what that does is instead of thinking of words just as like that they're connected, Aries, arise, rises, you get all these, it's more of an anagram, right? And you can take and mix up the letters and you still get a bunch of related things. So in that respect, you could say ask, and you also have sill, or you also have kills. You have or scale, or anyway, I don't know how to think about anagrams so much, but that sometimes they do work. And think about, like, if you are not us king, or something like that, you take this idea and then you scramble up the word. Now it means angry, rage, or something like that. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud with that one, because there might be something. It is kind of a weird word, ilska.
Yeah. Ilska.
But no, that doesn't mean anything. But also, again, where this idea of root being not really applying a good or bad to words as much as like just nature or something, or just like the human body or anatomy, or something like that. Because angry rage, what would piss someone off in paradise? So maybe this word.
Why do you have need for anger and rage? Yeah.
Yeah, like where was the place for that? Like, yeah. I don't know. It would sound like.
Älska is to make love.
Huh?
Älska is to make love.
With an E and A?
It's an E.
Oh, nice. There it is. There it is. Wow.
So ilska is when you have done it. Maybe. It's written with an A. Älska.
Yeah, there it is. Huh. Älska. That just made me think of gift. Gift.
Hey, it's kind of matching.
Yeah. Make love, Älska.
And make anger, ilska. It cannot be anger in that sense.
So this might actually be really applying this. Okay, so now you can see kind of back to this idea of there being like this grid and like some vowels are connected in different ways. And I think it's more specifically in the vowels rather than the consonants. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So in that way, the consonants have this very precise, what do you say, like rigid meaning and like numbers.
Yeah.
Whereas the vowels kind of sew the other sounds together to make different patterns.
Yeah.
And this E and A sound like this may be one of those cases, and especially when you imagine it as the E with the I with the dot above it, like your candle. Yeah. Whereas A is two dots. Yeah. You know, you got the sun and the moon.
Interesting point.
Yeah, something like that.
But it's also like alska. That's not a word then. But maybe it doesn't need. Ylska, ulska, olska, aska.
No, but it would be well, what about the u? Is that? Let me you know what? I don't have the the keyboard to put the characters in, so I have to use my phone to do that. Or just look it up here.
On your computer?
Yeah, I can't reverse that. I have to like put it in English first to find words on my computer. So I don't even know how to put the different characters in. Okay. No, I don't see any OSK. Okay. Anyway, but ew, again, that would be still applying the same thing. You got making love, and then you have with an IL is like if you're not making love, that's the definition of being angry. That's the only thing to be angry about. It's not making love.
Yeah. But that wouldn't necessarily mean for everybody. No, but you can make love by just loving people in general.
Yeah.
So if you're not loved, then you become angry.
Yeah.
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 That's a logical thing for humans to do, or an illogical thing, but still a logical solution.
Yeah, that would be ill.
Yeah.
That was what being sick was.
Yeah.
Is not actually being sick, but being like a lack thereof a good thing.
Yeah. That's what illness is also in a way.
Yeah. Oh, all right. So that's IL. IL.
Yeah. Should we look at the Finnish side also?
Sure,
We
go
have
ahead.
a couple of words interesting there also.
Yeah, go ahead.
What should we take? We could take ilo, which is joy. Take ilma, which is air. We could take ilme, which is the face, your limas. Then we have ilta, which is evening. Then we have ilman, which is without. And then we have ilmestus, which is a revelation. These are basically maybe the basic words that can look into.
I would like you to repeat them again.
Okay.
And actually, just the translation words, like air. What were all the words in English that you just said without saying the Finnish word? I'm just curious.
Joy, air, glimash, evening, without, revelation.
Okay.
And also we have announcement, which is ilmoitus.
Okay.
We have more, of course, but you can look into some of these if
Yes.
they have.
Okay.
Because so, here we can continue with the il thing in the word ilman, which means without. You have the il and the man, then it's without something. But here is also a combination thing because ilma, when it's air, and when you add ownership to the air, it becomes also ilman. So the airs and the without are the same word.
It makes me think of all the kind of like phrases of like love is in the air. You know, like that kind of poetic vibe to the languages and things that we use, how we talk about air.
Yeah.
And
because
like
it's also you go ahead. I mean, I like the happiness and the joy. It started the ilo. You have the il and the o, which is joy. And then when you turn this ilo backwards, it becomes oli, which is that was, which was do in the other. Ilo oli. Joy was.
And then and we're also getting some titles in Bocksaga.
Yeah, from ilma. From ilma, which is then the air. So in the ilma, we have the il and the ma, which is kind of the earth, and then the il or the il, or how we mix it up. And this ilma is the air itself. And then from the ilma in the Bock Saga, we have then Seppo Ilmarinen and Maija Ilmatar. And these are then ilma figures. We have Ilmarinen, who is ilma repeating person, nen, and then Ilmatar, and tar makes a woman. So the air Aser woman is the queen, and the Ilmarinen was the king. And then within this, then we have the ilma, which is air, and air then turns into air and turns into ra. And then we have ilma, ra, turning around in these three different languages coming together.
Yeah, it's fascinating. So we have air.
Yeah.
And then we also have Ukko representing the thunder.
Yeah, that's Ukko. That's father then.
Yes, but what I'm getting at is first we looked at like root, and we're getting a lot of in some ways, like we're looking at E as an inside thing.
Yeah.
Right, in this circumstance, which also, but it also means the dick and the sperm coming out of the dick, as far as like a lowercase e meaning, right? Yes. But and blue, straw, tour, these are we're looking at more the anatomical, but we always get this more outside of the human body and more into the nature of this realm that we're in, right? The world, like the actual nature. Whereas we have human nature and anatomy and biology and all these things, and the making the next class of people, right? So the Oser have this language, this root language, which is very anatomical, understanding what the body, because they had they felt, at least, they felt they had all of the responsibility to make all of the people. And but this other language, the Von language, the one language, this is the collective nature of reality kind of language. And so now we're kind of moving away from anatomy into like elements. Even like the elements, but also the elements of the self as well. I don't know if you have it right in front of you, where you can kind of list off the words that we're looking at in Finnish. They're translation words, right? Because there's a vibe to the translations of these sounds in Finnish, and there's a different vibe to the root translations of the words. And I mean, air is quite the element, right? And when we're talking about air, we're also talking about like the air to the throne, right? Or we have the air that we breathe. We also have the one air, which in root would be et air, which would be ether, the ether, right? So air isn't always just the less dense water that we breathe in, right? It's also, like I said, love is in the air. There's something else going on in the air, right? And this is also like the story of like the spirit and the soul of somehow it gets transferred from the air into the man's balls to make another life, right? Or it gets transferred from a leaf, right? And something leaves the leaf. There's something that leaves it.
Yeah.
And goes back in to the cycle, right? And that has to do with complex life and making organisms and things like that. There's something else that's like transferred through this idea of like we have these radio waves of something we can't see, touch, taste, or smell, or breathe. It goes through concrete and goes through rocks and goes through everything. And there's something in that aspect of reality, but there's
that's the connection with the raw and what you hear, because like you can hear sound through walls and you can hear sound through materials. And
and so like there's a very basic description and understanding, like this thing exists, but it's not until we go into Von language that these sounds actually like explode. And the way to really like in so much more detail describe and break up I guess mostly like describe, or at least have the ability to describe, because like ilma is a very small word, but again, being familiar with the Finnish language in general, you don't speak with small words. they don't come out as small words, but as a small word understanding of how to plug them into a greater description of a word, right? It's So anyway, so we got air. But even in here, like say like when I'm looking at like the definition dictionary, translation dictionary, it's also like a mood. So like we air our opinions out, which is put our thoughts out.
Yeah.
Dead headphone. We're putting our thoughts out in the air. You know, sorry, get this connected. So that's
lamp for me.
No worries. That's which is not a very anatomical. And air can also represent like the open space. You know, like you know, like you know, letting the air in or whatever. You know, and then what you said, ilman.
Yeah.
Which is without. Which is exactly right, like without matter, without something solid, it's air, it's space, it's open space, it's air.
And then it's also ilmainen. It's also something that's free.
Ilmainen.
Ilmainen. So you have the inen, same as in Väinämöinen, but it's ilmainen.
Yes. Which is basically a word for person or human.
What?
Which is basically a person, like tour. It's like it's kind of like tour in root, like the person belonging to the word.
Yeah, same as ihminen. Ihme, ilma.
And then joy, delight, happiness, pleasure. Ilo. Oh, so would you say O is the A with the ring above it in Finnish?
Finnish in general says that the A with the dot on is a Swedish O. And I would say that the circle in Finnish is not 100% the same, but almost. Like we begin this that the O, the long O, which is with the dot on, that comes from the throat. But the Finnish O, that happens here in the middle mouth. Basically, they have very small difference in the back where it starts from. So it sounds very similar when they come the same way out. And also in some, if you go in to look into phonetics of search of this Swedish O, then you will find that there is, I don't remember exactly what the symbol was, but there is some small symbol change in this phonetic writing between these two.
Interesting.
I can look it up for you later when I was supposed to do
like
it
this
earlier.
one. I really like this one. Ilmiö.
Ilmiö.
Which is a phenomenon.
Yeah.
Which I like that word too in English. Phenomenon. Phenomenon. Yeah. Phenomenon. Yeah.
There was some song from your place. Something
Phenomena. Yeah, usually I think people, if they're really like saying it without thinking about it, like really casually, it'd be like phenomena. So it doesn't really, but
Ilmiö is a little bit stronger word.
Yeah, ilmiö. Ilmiö.
Because ilmi itself is a basic word. Like you can also, if you like ilmi antaa is then when you like you go whistle blow something. Like you give
Oh,
somebody.
like an informant.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Then you
Like a snitch.
Snitch. Yeah.
Snitches get stitches. A rat.
A rat.
Yeah. Okay. Ilmiantaya.
Yeah, that's the snitch himself.
Which is interesting. So you got ilmi, which is open, like
Yeah, that's what depends on what you connect it with, because you can.
Yes,
that's the beauty of this, that you can always connect a word and then you change a meaning a little bit.
Come to light, come out, be discovered. Wow. So and then anta. Anta.
Anta is to give.
So and then ya.
Yeah. Anta ya. Then it becomes a person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the person.
Ilmi antaja, ilmi antaa.
Wow. Yeah, it's so fascinating how these words are constructed. I feel like you can do anything you want, make up your own words as you go, even and still like make sense to anybody who speaks it.
Yeah, but there is still some rules that you have to follow, in a way.
Yeah, that's what I that's what I want to figure out, is the rules as far as but not the rules, just
because just by learning the language, you will learn the basic system of how to pronounce the things.
Right.
But what we are looking forward also here in our research is that we find the meaning of the letters and how they're combined. And there is no book for that.
Yeah, I'm like a little reluctant to just start applying in the logic, and then, well, it'd be me. And I'm finding that like almost, I remember someone saying like, you know, what's crazy about the Finnish language is you can have like these long words with no vowels. And I'm like, actually, no, it's almost like every other letter is a vowel. And so
every, what you call this small piece have to have a vowel.
Yeah, which is, so it's the exact opposite of what some people think when they never even looked at it. You're just, because if you see what an English person sees Y's, they're like, oh, that's not a vowel, but it is a vowel. And it's very much a vowel. So ma, air, ma is the land.
Yeah.
And also ma could be like mar, like the backside of the moon.
It's also like ma-ar. Land of the R.
But very much in Finnish, the emphasis is on the IL in the very beginning of the word. Is almost all of the emphasis.
Yeah, in these words, yeah.
So to declare or express air, to indicate, okay, and then you have like, so we got air, we got without, evening time, ilta, 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 evening, nighttime, This is like,
yeah. So air. Okay.
Yeah.
Air, open,
Ear open.
joy, delight, evening,
Yeah. Ilta.
a joke, a prank, ilve, ilve, ilveija,
Ilveilijä.
ilveija. Yeah.
So Ilves, the lynx cat.
And the ilves, which
Yeah.
is interesting connection to lynx and a joke,
Yeah.
a trick. Means it's kind of tricky, but also the tiger plays the trickster as a narrator, or as one of the not a narrator. Well, as one of the nars that acts out in the information system in the Bocksaga.
Mm-hmm.
Is one of the the lion represents, the okay, and then the tiger represents
Aija and Seppo. Ilmarinen and Ilmatar.
Oh, okay. And then I'm thinking of the fox. The fox is usually the trickster animal.
The fox is somehow connected to Ra, like Ilmarinen. Because it's like, and like that comes more from the Finnish mythology side. It's Repo name. The fox.
And then
but
lynx.
The lynx is also interesting because it's in root it's law, and then it's law of Oden. Oden's log.
And lynx is an interesting sounding word in English.
Yeah.
Because it's what links.
Yeah. True. Yeah, that also. Yeah.
Something that links. But also it's an li in English too, which is li. And X is a symbol of kind of, well, it's not really a linking symbol. It's like a
X is the link.
Yeah, but it's, yeah, I guess so.
X is the crossing point. It's the...
I know it's the crossing, but I feel like it's more of like a, like there should be arrows at the end of it. Okay. You know, like there should be like arrows, like showing that it's crossing, but not.
But it's all arrows. Like if you have it like this, then this whole thing is an arrow which points there.
I guess what I'm saying is it's like I imagine a link as something that's round and then linked together like this, whereas this is like the paths are also in the past tense crossed.
Okay, yeah, okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I feel like there's a something to say about that kind of thing. Yeah. You know, 2 rings versus 2 poles. Yeah. But
I was maybe a bit broad-minded, but now when you go into the detail, you have a point in the link of being more like that.
Which is interesting. But back to it being, oh my gosh, I'm so happy I put a little card where and on the page I was on. Actually, I lost it. So links, air. I lost my page. Oh, here we go. Oh no, I'm on the English side. Oh no.
It's also interesting because in German, links means left, like the direction. But I don't know if that's any connection here. But
well, I'm also thinking about how it links to. It circles back to these these root to root as well. So, because I'm feeling like there's a lot more where there's not words for IL in root. There is words for IL in Finnish. Like, is it just taking IL? And then you take IL in Finnish, and then there's like some really big meanings to.
But there is also, when we talk about links, because you have the basic form is the link. And when a link connects to something, then it's a crossing point.
Yeah, it's true. Maybe it is similar, because if you finish drawing an X,
yeah,
you finish and then you connect it, then you get infinity and 8. Like if you you draw an X, you imagine an X, and then you put a loop on the top and you put a loop on the bottom, a semicircle, it makes an 8.
Ah, true, yeah.
It also makes, and if you do it on this side, it makes infinity.
Yeah.
8H. Anyway, I think I don't think that has anything to do with IL.
It's Liz now, in a way.
But also kind of circling back.
Yeah, because we come from Ilves to links, because Ilves already with Li starts, the links just explains more of it.
Yeah.
Because in Finnish, then the link is a linkki, and then it becomes a key. Yeah.
Yeah, and the symbol of a key too is interesting, which is Carl, so Ki, and which we did talk a little bit about before when we were doing Ik.
Yeah. You were talking about key then, yeah.
Yeah, we did Ik, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which was wasn't really anything, which is mostly found in Finnish, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but trying to link these two languages, is my biggest question of. Is I don't really get it, but when I imagine it more in the macro, I can see the reasoning why we have all these languages on the planet we do today, and like I can see like a greater of like each language describing an aspect or like a base, having like you take a baseline idea, anatomy, body, root, okay, or like the quantities of nature, and understanding it all as one, as von.
Yeah.
As another way to construct a language.
Now we will go deep.
And then you fast forward later, and then even during the ice time, now you have all the other languages of the planet developing.
Yeah.
Like Hindi. Very, very, or Chinese.
Yeah.
Or something. Because basically the premise that the saga, the story would lay out was that in this fissuring of all of these things, when I was ranting about how the sunlight is collapsing these places, or like Hebrew, right? Like Hebrew being based on the idea of this torus field and creation, or whatever, and Stan Tenen. You know, I think we've talked about it multiple times, at least in previous times, of how. But there's a core basic concept of why our language being constructed. English is like a trading language.
Yeah.
Like people think English is really complicated just because of how we are written.
Yeah. Spelling
is done. But other than that, it's somehow, for some way, somehow, everyone, like most people can speak it and find it a good language to be like a medium language.
Yeah, in today's system.
Yeah, but
yeah.
But why is that? Is it just because the English like went all over the place and conquered a bunch of different places? Is that really the reason? Or
I think I understand that it's made to be that. When you have back in the days, after like you have the Gothic tribe spread around, and then Sven and Dan spread around, then these people, if they communicate with each other, they're not able to communicate with each other. But when you mix these two people's languages together, both are able to speak it. Because if we have the word full of Van and As languages, and if you combine them, then both are kind of being able to intermingle with each other, perhaps.
Yeah, so the core but like that's why we in English we're able to make all of these money words, these trading words, or like these legal words, like the legalese English, completely different than what we're talking.
Yeah.
Speak, right? So we have this legal English language that is like purely for writing, because nobody talks like that. It's pure, like, I don't know. That's like that silver tongue language that is you know, I think you have like, you know, when you say someone like speaks with they speak with like a silver tongue, it means they're a really good speaker, they're really persuasive or something like that, right? And so we have all these ways to express ourselves in English that have to do with like selling something basically, or trading or exchanging, you know, which is really what an economy is, right? Is like trading something, whether it's ideas or whatever.
But we have also, when you have English, we have the base stage, which is this language that we spoken, and then we have this development step, which you are talking about. This development step can be a more modern product of when English became developed into the word language, or it gains its state to be that, then you are able to use English so that you're able to use the structure to build up more words more easily.
Yeah.
Which you can also do with Finnish, but with English you have certain kind of more freedom maybe in some places.
And there is so much more E in English.
Yeah, much more.
There's more E than in root, and there's more E, which is the letter we're talking about. There's more E in English than anywhere else, and that's how even our alphabet sounds.
Yeah.
And yeah, we even turned yeah, A, B, C, D, E, and then you have F, G, H, I, which is E, J, K, L, M.
But K, A, also A, E.
That's not E.
Yeah, it's A.
Yeah.
J, K.
That's just that. Yeah. I mean, that's
the sound.
Yeah. True. Yeah. So yeah, we've converted a lot of into a lot of E. and then NOP, QRST, UV, yeah, Z.
Y.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I really wanted, I really feel like I'm on the brink of, what I'm trying to say is, you know, we got links, which but linking the two languages, because we're getting more than halfway into E, and I think there's going to be a way where you can say, make an equation, basically. There should be a way, there's like almost mathematical, but instead of thinking numbers, think sounds, or way to almost predict what the Finnish word would be. Like and same thing in root. Like if you were, but with meaning instead of numbers.
Yeah. I agree. Like ideology of this.
Yeah, x squared, you know,
Yes.
plus AB square, you know, whatever, equals. But as far as if the angle of the sun, you know, kind of, or you take, you know, the different concepts of the letters, you should be able to predict words in a different language. Something like that. Like in Von.
Yeah. It's not so simple.
No, of course not.
Yeah, but there has to be, especially if we talk about the three languages of ASER.
Okay.
There has to be some formula to make
Yeah,
them.
so what I'm saying is, okay, ignore all the math references I just made. Another way would be the Finnish words in their smallest parts being a root word. But they didn't make use of that sound in that particular way in root.
Yeah.
And took away some of the more anatomy meaning, but more of the actual like nature. So instead of calling a palm tree because it looks like our palm, its own name was self-evident. Instead of coming from anatomy description, it came from an aspect of like the 8 powers or something. There's got to be something that makes it like the actual nature meaning in Finnish. Finnish is this language that is, man, my thoughts are so close, but I feel like I'm just rambling instead. So, do you have any idea what I'm trying to say?
And the thing is that I have completely the same thinking thought of finding out the same thing, but how to formulate and how to find and what word should we use and how do we make the formula and blah, blah, blah. It's very interesting.
Yes. So that's, I guess, actually, what I'm trying to say is I think this is something, what I'm actually trying to say is going to be revealed as we go, as we look into each word, and especially if we start looking at them individually. So we're on IL, EL, E, IL, E, log, right? And so far, we have several IL, and then we have the next one. So we have ilma, ilme. So and as we've already been discussing, the vowels give you a different aspect to the consonants. So now we're still talking about M. So if we're using sound system, right? And instead of trying to, and then we have il, and then ma, air. Il, me is obvious, open.
That's a word which is more often used as a combination word.
Yeah,
as itself.
it's given me 3 different ways to think about it. Sometimes it's used like il me eri painen. Very quiet, perfectly. Il me selvä. It's like perfectly clear. You're being like very clear in your speaking. You can also use it to make something obvious or make something self-evident.
Okay.
And but me is me.
Yeah. It's minä in Finnish, which we usually shorten it to mä, but minä also somehow connects to me.
Right.
By this basic things.
Like me, myself, and I.
Yeah.
So it's something to do with me.
Yeah.
That makes it the light out and revealed. So maybe in Finnish, IL is E is not exactly in, but maybe it's the outward, like
This can also be more that this is more about in the law.
Okay.
Maybe. In the law of Uden is joy. Ilo. In the law of man, it's without, but that doesn't make sense in the same way. In the law of Ma, in the law of earth, is air. It's the atmosphere which creates the possibility to have Ma. But then ilta is then to take. And it's a bit, it takes the ill. The evening takes the ill away.
Yeah, I think yeah. So okay, so it would be better to specifically look at the aspects of IL with only a vowel finishing it. So like I, il-o, il-o, which is joy, delight, happiness, pleasure, merry-making, good fun, laughter. You know.
And that's very much what Uden wants us to be.
Right. But the other so far, so you have, is there ili? Is that Finnish? Ili?
Illi. Huh?
Ila?
Ila.
Happy. Make someone happy. Ilatua. Ilatua.
Ilahtua. Yeah.
Ilatua.
Ilahtua. But that's a derivative then from ilo, ilahtua.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is it's good to look at these, the one instead of, because il me, this two, those are separate.
Yeah.
Whereas a vowel, so instead of IL and then another vowel, would make it so that is an aspect to IL. Whereas il me isn't really giving a good aspect to IL to help us understand IL. Until we understand IL, then we know how to apply it to ME, MI. Does that make sense?
Of course, these are all connected.
So you got ilo, and then Is there ilu?
Estonians use ilu, like with the u with the dots on for ilo. Right.
Interesting.
So,
In Estonian, huh? There's an ILU.
you with the
Beauty.
dots on.
Beauty, loveliness. Is ilu is beauty and loveliness in Estonian. That's beautiful. And then in ilo is joy and happiness. So
Yeah.
and this one translates right to mostly to beauty.
Yeah, maybe it can be used in that sense also.
We also have pilu.
Yeah, but then we get deeper if we add letter in the front.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But also we get more understanding
of course.
without it.
But then we are just at peel because you have the pilu.
Uh-huh. Well,
Yeah.
okay, well maybe it's time to look at. Oh no, we're not done here. Okay, so we got.
And that's also interesting because pilu ends with lu, and lu was the Ilves, the lynx cat. But then we are sailing from
Yes.
but
Smooth sailing. Okay. Well, I'm almost ready to break IL wide open.
yeah. It's just to wait for the Ilmestis.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of applications of IL.
Yeah.
Till. To till your land.
Yeah.
Till.
Don't kill your land. Just feel it.
So, yes. To meal.
Maybe drill it also.
A meal.
Meal. A meal.
Yeah. And
you can grow some deal.
Yeah, multi-millimeter. Millimeter. Eel. Meal. Lee.
Me.
Air. Those are the smallest uses, maybe. Feel. How do you feel? I feel good. I am filled. I am full. Feel full of love. A feel is also, or is that fill? Is also a monetary unit of Iraq, Kuwait, Yemen. Is a monetary unit.
Not a feel.
I
didn't know that.
And it's equal to 1/1000th of a dinar.
Ah, it's the sense of them. Yeah.
It's the sense of
the money is dinar.
And that isn't that interesting? A dinar.
Yeah, I just realized also. You drink from the dinar is your money.
So they use that. So it's equivalent to that of a dinar, and then they have. It's also a monetary unit of the dirham and the rial. So rial is of Yemen, and the dirham is the United Arab Emirates, and often used after a name with the meaning of junior in French. So son means son, heels.
Oh, yeah.
So
that was many more languages.
yeah, fair enough. But at the same time, if we're really looking at these core sounds, I think we'll be able to find these core sounds in other languages.
Of course.
And they still might have their construction, because maybe it's some of these old root sounds in different languages, that, especially because we're talking about a word to represent a money, a currency.
Yeah.
Right. And so that concept is much older in all civilizations. So to find it in a big word like that doesn't seem so far-fetched for it to have a connection.
Mm.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm not disagreeing. I'm just like
Erectile.
erectile.
Isle. Erectile. Erect eel.
Now we are in IR already.
Well, no, I was doing the IL.
Yeah, but like erectile, ear.
Yeah, if it's ending in that.
Also, you were saying the ending. Yeah.
Yeah, so in the ending, it's also maintains some of its meaning. Now, when you're putting them right in the middle, like an ailment, but also an ailment is an ailment, like ill, ale. So an ailment. And you also have ale, like the drink.
Ale, yeah.
Yeah. So an ailment may have been an ale of some kind of brew when you are ill.
Yeah, because we have this sound thing also in this, that
Tequila. And the A is just at the end to, you can remove the last vowel sometimes in like Latin language, like, so it'd be tequila.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, what were you saying?
I don't know.
You forgot, I'm sorry. I interrupted.
It's all right. I think it was you speaking and I'm agreeing partly to understand where we're going.
Silicone. Seal. So IL is able to give this like this aspect to other concepts of like in the logic, like IL is like inside logic, or is the inner logic of something else.
Yeah.
So like as well. So it's giving you the inner logic. So, and the aspects of this inner logic is something that would be giving an illustration, or no, the image, or not the image, but like allowing you to like do this thing, or kind of paint the picture. I give a little bit of an idea to something. So if we apply that to as the suffix rather than the prefix, right? This is kind of what we want to try to understand of how these sounds are constructed.
Yeah.
So like a seal.
Seal something.
You seal something.
Yeah.
But I think that also gets its name from the animal, the seal, which is also soul.
I understand that this list adds to Yggdrasil.
Seal. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, seal, which is like the salt, the cell, the seals, the cell, right? But eel as opposed in, yeah, it's in Yggdrasil.
Yeah.
And the S eel, and then you have T eel and M I L meal.
Yeah, because you have EA making.
Well, I just said a lot of stuff without making a point.
But that's how brainstorming works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, I feel like I did have a point, and I just kind of lost it along the way.
Of course.
A kilt.
A kilt. But that's also because you have the keel and the T. In English, you can actually split up the consonants.
Yeah.
As a separate sound sometimes.
Yeah, but maybe
Kilt.
they do that maybe because it's supposed to be like a I don't know.
But kilt is also in Finnish. Kiltti is like a kind or a nice person, like. Yeah, kind is. No, you don't need to separate them.
But again, going back into Finnish is tricky when you're changing the first thing, the first letter.
But that brings so much meaning, so much different meaning.
Yeah, it changes everything.
Yeah.
All right. Wild, wield, wild, veiled, veal, will.
Deal. There's a lot about this English when you write EA. Becomes I.
Yeah. For E.
Yeah.
Yeah. Feel. Yeah, I like feel because feel has it, but then in Finnish you have a lot of feeling.
Yeah.
You know, feeling. So that would be feeling, feel, seal, sell. Yeah. Feel. Yeah, it kind of changes everything with a different consonant in the front. But yeah. Because otherwise, backwards it would be Li, and then you got totally different thing. You know, different little things going on. So ill is kind of like backwards logic, but then when you put another consonant in front of it, it would be going from the Li anyway, so it wouldn't have the backwards logic meaning anymore, or like inside logic. It would be inside whatever's ahead of it, whatever sound or meaning is in front of it.
Yeah, but this illogical comes maybe more in English, because then in Finnish it's more about what is logical.
No.
And
I think we spent time on IL.
Should we say thank you, IL?
I am yeah. Let's kill IL for real.
For real, yeah. Is the real with an AL or an E?
I think it's
because the real, you have the real, which is the real thing, and then you have the real, which is the Kela.
Real. Real. A real is more of like the.
Yeah. That's the Kela.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the real.
Yeah.
That's on the real. Okay. Yeah.
The real is the Kela.
Do you have any more Kelas on IL before we We had a lot of Kelas, right? That was a quality blah blah in between as well.
Yeah, quite nicely. This was more like a blah blah.
Film. A film.
Film, yeah.
Yeah. Gives you feelings. Most of the IL, I mean, it basically just, by itself is logical, illusion. The illustrator is really the story. There's a Bocksaga story, because not all words. There are some very specific story-esque words. Illustrator is obviously one of these. That was very important to deliver information. So this has always been a very important word. Illustrator. That one's a powerful word. And then you have some other powerful ones that really stand out in Finnish, which is air and joy and happiness. And this idea of airing out your feelings, but also in the Finnish language, these really long words that are passed down are really important constructions. Vainamoinen, Lemminkainen, and so just understanding that just in these small combinations of even just ILO is the feeling of joy, which is such a huge feeling, right? And then air, which is an insane concept, just being able of describing openness, using the air, the elements to describe in all of its aspects and how they're applied to the body, the human, in your thinking and in your construction of words. So whereas in root, it's given this construction meaning to everything else, whereas it's the other way around in Von language, it seems.
Yeah, it sort of have to be in a way, because you need to express what happens outside of Udema.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it has to be what's expressed outside of your body more.
Yeah, so now it's not just oak trees anymore. You have other kinds of nature that need their own description.
That's kind of also one reason maybe when we have, for example, F, Ekens frö. In Finnish, it becomes F, like the field's frö. So when you have in root, you have only one tree, but in Finnish, you have the whole field of plants.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm getting this vibe with all of just as Finnish in general. And it's really nice to be able to zoom out like this and really look at the broader concepts in some very small meanings, which actually makes it quite simple. It's just breaking it down and going into the details is infinite, which is kind of like what we're getting into, but kind of like reverse engineering. But with the sound system in mind, it's actually like not reverse engineering. It's like seeing how it works.
Yeah, but that's what reverse engineering is about. Also, you are figuring out how it works so that they will disassemble it. But maybe we are talking about something more general yet than completely reverse engineering it, because we're just finding out the meaning.
And applying it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Because here is also one thing which I remembered here on the way. When we have Ilmatar, Maya. So if you go to these Hindustan cultures and around there, then Maya will mean an illusion. And with this kind of combination, it comes from the female side, the illusions, which is then kind of the basic of what happens somehow in the air, maybe. Because like illusions happens in the sphere of Ra sometimes.
Right. I think it was before we pressed record, but noting that there, you know what? It was actually for IM. That's actually a good leadway into IM.
Okay.
Sorry, did you finish your thought?
Huh?
Did you finish your thought on because that's the part.
Just played our way.
Now we're talking about the Ma, right?
Yeah.
And this, so that's M, right? Starting with M, and got Il, Ma, you know, open, and then in root, now we got the IM, and we got like Ima. Yeah, good job. Thank you. I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
You were coming to Ima.
We're doing IM then, right? Okay, cool. IM. So here's some of the translations of some IM words. I'll just say them in English, but know that they are IM words in Swedish or Finnish. Swedish. So we got imitate. We got mist or steam or misty or steamy, which I think is the most nature word. And okay, we got import, impotence, impotent, and then impulsive.
Yeah, we have a lot of E word.
Impulsive, impotence, a nod. That E-moon would be dictionary IM word, but E-moon would actually be E-moon. So these are actually two separate words. So this isn't an IM word. So we won't be talking about the E-moon system for this one. Maybe that would come up with E, where maybe in the case of, maybe in all the I words, to identify the one that's talking about the man or the woman's E are the ones that are not connected when it's singular.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So anytime E is connected to a letter, a consonant, it is this meaning.
Yeah.
Of inside, of in.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that? Or maybe it's like kind of a, we'll see.
I would call it in Finnish maybe like an yleistys, so like a commonization of things. Kind of.
Okay.
Like there's a common perspective that depending on what you combine it with, and is it combined or is it not combined, or a lot of small details, which is something that we're searching up from.
Because all the vowels seem to be able to stand on their own as well.
Vowels are able to stand,
do not to be connected, but do connect to other sounds. You connect other sounds together. So,
and that you can do a lot with E. When you have longer words, you can put E in between quite often, or A, and then to make just that it's one single vocal connecting.
Carnival.
Car,
A carnival.
Yeah.
The E is by itself.
Yeah.
And it is separating car, carn, E, val.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Val, E of the car.
Yeah. The same with fest, E, val.
So this isn't this inside polar meaning of E. This is the inside meaning of E that we're talking about in this particular sound study. So when we get to E as the man's E or the woman's E in the cleat, tor, E, right? And east would just be S, meaning belonging to.
Yeah.
So not ice. So when we get to ice, this is going to have something to do with, when we get to IS, that's going to be something to do with ice. But in cleator east, it would be S, meaning belonging to the E.
Yeah.
So whereas cle, the E isn't this E. It's the tor is, and then E's. So the E's belonging to tor. The E belonging to tor and cleaning that. Yeah. That would be right. So it's a different E. So that's kind of maybe this is a way to think about of why, when and why E is in and E is E.
Yeah. And sometimes they are, you can have the both.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the concept is the E goes in goes E.
Yeah. It goes
the
E.
E goes E. And the woman goes E. Okay. So, but
it's like
IM,
me.
Yeah.
The whole thing of this is me. Something that's.
So E, mone, M is mone with the moon.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And the moon has a couple different aspects. So you have the moon is where the raw, like
I would understand symbolizes. Ra is the force of the moon.
Yes. Yeah. Right. So which is the transfer of energy, because the moon is basically transmutating the strolar from the sun. So instead of it becoming strolar, the strolar is strolar here on Earth because Earth absorbs, and that energy is what makes the grass, the straw. Yeah. But when it comes to the moon takes that, reflects it, and changes the energy itself. Yeah. Which is the raw. Yeah. And why are we talking about that? Because that is what the concept of M is. And now im, I think when we look at these shorter words, we're going to find that some of these words are, so we got ima and imig, which is mist, steam, misty, or steamy.
I would say dim. Also, like I pronounce, like for me, ima or mist is dimma.
Ima.
And dimma, if you take the ma away, it's just dim. And that's kind of an English word then again.
Yeah, means like dim lighting.
Yeah. That's the same as like a mist.
Which is misty or steamy.
Yeah.
So interesting. So this is almost not even an IM word. Almost. Sound-wise, it's kind of, it's.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, maybe you can also pronounce it imma.
Yeah, but maybe if you're singing it.
Huh?
Maybe if you're singing it, you would be, maybe if you're root singing it.
Imma.
But what I'm saying is, like maybe in the dialect what do you say in your dialect?
Maybe it can also be that there are different words, that dimma is the dim itself, and imma is the when it's doing it.
So D, when you would D, the imma,
Yeah.
when it's absorbing and drinking in the light, it's dim.
Yeah.
So then it would just be ima of the thing that it's dimming, doing the
Yeah,
dimming.
the imma itself is the imma, but when you drink the imma, then it becomes dimma, and it's the dim.
And it is almost in the word mist. Backwards is im, and then you also have steam, steam. So even this is the im.
Yeah.
But stay. Well, no, I guess the EA would be the I. So, but otherwise, yeah. It's kind of interesting that it's team, S team. It's like a team of people, sports team.
But then again, why is this again im ma? Because ma again is earth, but why is it im?
Yeah, but ma is also Mar, which is the backside of the moon.
Yeah. Sure.
But you take away the R, you're left with ima. So the moon is this force of controlling it moves the tide, it pulls moisture, and mist is just moisture in the air. It's just less dense water.
So then we have, like, because ma has the moist in it, and in the moon becomes the ra, which takes the moist up.
Yeah. Well,
like in the moon, earth.
Yeah. I mean,
because
it's got to be a force. Well, yeah. The object, it's the stuff itself is called imma.
Yeah.
Right. The noun, which is the water of the the land. So maybe Mar is only connected by the R to the ma.
But the imma is the moist. That, for example, on the window when you gather moist. Like it's the gathered water drops. It's not the free flowing.
It's you got the E, it sounds in there. So it's still an anagram of emois. Yeah. You just move the letters around, you still get the same, you still get ima, but then you have emig, yeah. Is that G sounds pretty strong in there? Emig or steamy?
Emig. Yeah, that's when it becomes like things become moving, like something is emig.
Yeah. So what I was kind of wanting to point out is that ima is like more it's a sound change from emig, right? So they're both
process
giving
change. Step in process, like imma and imig. Like imma is the thing itself, and imig is that it's like it. Like we have this ig ending.
Yes. Yeah. So but I'm wanting to make the moon connection, and that like ima is the moon and the land connection, right? And so like the backside of the moon is Mar.
Yeah.
So, but without the R, you have the ma. right? Because the moon is the Ra.
Yeah.
Yeah, but without the R, it's no longer the Ra. And so the land comes from the R of the Ma. So maybe like you know, is that making sense?
Because I think that Mai comes first before Mar, in a way. Maybe.
So I imagine the planet, the moon is older than Earth.
Yeah. As its creation state is. Yeah.
And it wasn't until it was in the perfect position next to the moon, away from the sun, in this perfect position before everything, before Har Moon was achieved.
Yeah.
Right. So Har, you need the moon. We need the dance of the bodies of the sun and the Ra interacting at the same time. So, but in the sound itself, if you take Mar and you remove it's just like magma.
Yeah.
You know, you remove G and you have mama.
But magma is older than the moon.
Huh?
Because everything has to be created from the magma.
Yeah, here.
The magma has to come before the moon came.
Well, but I thought the moon is older than Earth.
Yeah, but that's Ma. Because like if the system is so that the sun creates something and when it goes to space it explodes, then the magma has come from the sun and it has to be older than what it creates.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I'll take it. Plasma.
Plasma. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the Ma over
Yeah.
here. Okay. The place of the Ma. Plasma.
Yeah. Yeah. And like then we have different, then you have Mar becomes the moon's dark energy kind of, even if it's the dark side of the moon, but it still has to do with Ma because Ma explains all land and so on.
So if you stare at the moon too long, you become a moon starer.
Yes.
Um,
That's why we call it in Finnish kuuhullu, like moon crazy.
okay. Well, I feel okay. I feel like we're still talking very feminine here. Yeah. Ma. All this ma talk, very feminine.
Yes, very much.
Steamy, misty, kind of humid, huh?
But here we still can talk about, because we are in the moon's Ma, then we should be at the Mar.
Okay.
So all these misty things should somehow connect with the Mars side. Maybe. Speculating, but.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think there's been a confusion made with this idea of the dark side and the light side of the moon. Because there's actually different aspects, because the light side and the dark side of the moon is not always the side facing the Earth and the side facing away from the Earth. So we're either talking backside or front side, or we're talking light side, dark side, because when it's a crescent moon, half of the backside of the moon is also being lit up. It doesn't necessarily mean it's dark. When there's a lunar eclipse, the backside of the moon is lit up like crazy, and we're actually looking at the dark side, even though it's the side facing.
Yeah.
finish up soon.
Yeah, these are very interesting aspects of the moon. Because if we're talking in the moon, we have just what you say. We have a front side with different faces. We have a back side with different faces, but we only see some parts of it. And then we need to understand which moon phase we are maybe in when we talk about inwards.
Well, like as I've heard it described, like you have the mystery,
Okay?
which didn't mean mystery before. It meant just her story, her side of the story. It's not that exactly that it was a mystery.
Not directly, but
It's
for
only
the
a mystery.
Yeah.
40 million of them the witches got killed in medieval Europe. You know, so now it's a mystery because they killed all the women with all the knowledge. But it wasn't always a mystery. It was just her side of the story. So the idea of a dark side of the moon is the side that is not receiving the sunlight. And both sides equally don't receive the sunlight.
Mm. Yeah.
And do.
Um,
So Mar isn't exactly referring to the moon. Now we're imagining the moon as a ball, right? So inside is not inside the moon would be maybe where all this energy, I don't know, maybe where all this energy change comes from, the raw.
yeah.
And it could be stored like a battery and then shut off. So we can still get knowledge from the backside of the moon because it's not receiving the strolar.
Yeah, of course, because like, as we said, the raw can travel through material. So even if the backside of the moon is lightened up, it comes through.
Yes.
And that's also when we have solar eclipses and lunar eclipses. Completely different forces playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never really said it like that before, or actually thought about it exactly like that. But I was thinking a long time ago, like, well, it's not that it's dark, it's just you can't see it. It's just facing away from us. Doesn't mean the backside of my cup doesn't exist just because I can't see it from looking straight at it. You know, it doesn't mean it's not keeping my liquid from falling out the other side just because I can't see it. But it also doesn't mean it's black and dark. The sun, the light still hits it. It's still there. It still exists and is holding the, you know, I'm looking at my cup here over here off the screen, but just because, you know, and so I never thought about it like, or never really like considered it like that, but that's the truth.
Yeah. And then we also can play a little bit like with the stars, because the stars also reflect light. And maybe they also reflect, if you look at the moon, it depends which stars are reflecting from it from the back. But this gets deeper into astrological things, which maybe we take in a subject.
It would be interesting for as astrology to be understood that it is that all the other celestial bodies are receiving their light from the sun.
Yeah.
Because if you're looking at it in the Bocksaga lens, it is the light. It is the soul. It is the luz. And the moon is our moon, which is what makes it all much more powerful.
Yeah.
Necessary for us. The other ones, Jupiter, Mars, Venus, I don't know how essential their light is to things existing here, but as far as humans have used them to understand what this is as a method of understanding numbers, and there's a reason why there are 12 sons and 7 daughters. It wasn't because they just made up this number and then applied it later. It was because of a different understanding of what around us what is, you know, the stars in the sky or something to mimic nature.
Yeah.
To represent these things, right? So there is a human representation of Ra, and there is a family struck. If Udin is everything, then everybody is representing aspects of Udin.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the aspects of Udin is Ra and E, and you know, all the way up and down the family tree.
Yeah. In the mood.
We missed one. I don't know if we missed one, but imitation, a mimic. Yeah. I don't know if this is going to be an E or an I.
Mick.
I think it's meat. Oh no, it'd be eat, tor.